Assalamu alaikum, Khatija. How are you?
Walaikum salam, Amina. How are you doing?
Good. Ramadan Kareem. How is everything going in Morocco with this pandemic and this quarantine? How are you all doing?
Yes, thank you. Ramadan Kareem for you too. Well, things are going well, okay, since we are just home and we don't go much out. We have been told that we have to take care of ourselves, to take care of our health. That's what matter at the end, and just try to be home as much as we can. Just go out if just necessary things. So people are trying to follow all the instructions, and we have been locked down since 16 March,
Yeah.
which is not, easy. But hopefully, they are trying to keep the kids as well inside, because they've been planning many homeschooling and planning, to put many programs for them. They've been working on Zoom, on Teams, on every time it's something new. They postponed holidays as well because we should be, on holiday, but they postponed that until this week. Hopefully, we had a week of holiday. All that just to make everybody busy at home and teachers busy, doctors busy.
It's a
But
lot. A lot
alhamdulillah,
to manage.
yeah, it's
Like,
a lot going on. But well, hopefully, we started measures very early, which is good.
yeah.
We have lockdown very, very early because we are not really prepared for this kind of pandemic, hospitals and all that. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's why they
Morocco?
choose to make everybody lock down, not just the sick one,
Yeah.
so they can make everybody safe.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, it seems like Morocco has done really well in terms of how they've handled the pandemic and, controlled people gathering. What about the kids in the
Yes.
orphanages, the children living in the orphanages? How is this?
Yes, it's the same thing. Yeah, hopefully the director and all the staff, they have taken measures early as well, and they have locked down all the nurses because normally nurses do 24 hours and they go home and others come.
Yeah,
But they preferred to just go for one team, one, I don't know what to call it, but one of a group.
yeah,
They give them a chance. They ask the one who wanted to do that. They choose the one who maybe didn't have kids, or they have somebody home who take care of their kids. So they choose the one, that they are okay for that, and they lock them down all to be there with the kids all the time, and they don't go out at all. And there are some, other that bring food and bring all things, so they avoid them to go out. They have prepared everything for them. So for the older ones, they are continuing their studies through online and all that. And for the little babies, everything is okay since they don't see, nurses coming from outside. That's the only thing how they can, make them away from all what's going on outside.
God bless those caregivers, and God bless,
Yes.
this orphanage in Meknes, because I feel like, they have done a good job, and thankfully they're one of the orphanages that's, I think, in a better position. But I do want to
Yeah,
introduce.
Alhamdulillah, they made an amazing, yeah, they're doing an amazing job because they feel a little bit tired, and they every time because we didn't know that we're going to be locked down for all. They've been told you will be for 1 month. And here again, it's another month added again. Just, a few days, we have been told that there is another 1 month. So they were not really prepared for that.
Yeah,
So they're trying to please them, and they're trying to, promise them some, more maybe, salary or something, so they can make them happy with that. And that's all I can say.
well, I want to also introduce everybody to you formally. um, you know,
Okay.
you're Khadija Belkhiat. You're my oldest and dearest friend in Morocco. I met you while I was in Morocco for the adoption of my son. And so I have a very deep love for you in many ways. And you're also our project coordinator in the Meknes and Fez area for our Bloom projects. And you were actually the project coordinator for our pilot project, which was the rooftop play garden at the orphanage that you're speaking of, the one in Meknes for the young children. So, can you just tell everyone a little bit about, you know, kind of your journey with Bloom and this first pilot project and what you've seen?
Yes, of course. So I want, of course, to mention. I mean, the first project that we have done, the little one that we have started on. This is how Bloom, or before Bloom started. Remember, before we had even the name of Bloom.
Yeah.
I remember your call when you called me. It was just I mean, a phone conversation when you called and you said, I noticed that you go to the orphanage more often just to play with the kids and just to be with them, not for anything else, not for other purposes. And you were like, I want you to go there regularly and to spend there 2 or 3 hours a day, not just to go whenever you want or to go once a week. I want you to go every day and spend with the kids 2 or 3 hours just to kiss them and to hug them. This is how it started. And you said, and you know, I promise that I will like pay you for that. It will be like a little job for you.
Yeah.
It was, that day was just amazing for me because I really was in need, and I was looking for a little job, but something that I can spend just few hours so I can be with my kids all day.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, let's do that. It's not a big deal. It's just to go and give hugs and love and kisses to the kids. It's just the easiest work ever. I
That's
said,
so
okay, no problem.
yeah.
But your purpose was more than that and bigger and bigger. I mean, your purpose was that I spend with the kids 2 or 3 hours. That means I will know them better. I will, I mean, more than that, I will give them some tummy time, and I will check their behavior. I will check how they react at certain age, because after like 1 month, you've been doing that more formal because you were sending me some forms that I need to fill in about each child and to know if he is reacting in a proper way. I mean, if he is doing what he has to do. I mean, if he is at 5 months sitting down, if he is at 1 year walking, if he is, you know, so many details in each age.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that and trying to make whoever he is a little bit late on something, I try to work on it. And through your directions, okay, every time I call, I say, okay, he is not doing that. What should I do? What are the things, you know, because I'm not, my education is not about this, you know, I don't know many little things, but through you, I mean, I learned many things. And then this is how we knew that those kids need some time out. I mean, and time for them to play is everything, because as much as they play, as much as they will be happy, as much as they will grow in, I mean, their personality, and all things will change about them. So this is how we discovered that they need some time outside as well, and to be out of the little room where they've been all day. And I told you about that little roof they have up there on the orphanage where we go and we spend sometimes on the sun. But that place was really, I mean, they can play there, but if they fall down, they're going to be hurt. So the nurses are avoiding to take them out, I mean, up there most of the time. I mean, they avoiding to take them there because they will be hurt. If they fell down, they will have bumps everywhere, and then they will be in trouble.
Yeah.
So this is how you decided to make a little garden up there. And I remember that when you told me, okay, go and search in the internet and see if we can buy some little things to put them up there, if we can put something on the ground so if they fall down. I've been looking through just simple things, and as well things who are, I mean, which is not expensive.
Mhm.
But then I was just surprised, and it was just amazing when I saw that playground just fix it, because you have chosen the best material, and you have chosen the best playground on the floor.
Yeah.
And, I mean, a thick grass. Even though if they fall, nothing will happen to them. I was just surprised when I mean, when you choose Palitash as the one who will take care of that place and find it, because with as you said, the orphan, they all, I mean, need the best thing, not the least thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was
Great.
my, I mean, that
Yeah.
was my surprise when I saw that place. And when they, I mean, Palitash came and they were doing all that construction, I was not expecting all that. That was the best
Yeah.
thing you have done,
Yeah.
mashallah.
I mean,
Allah.
I still look at it and it makes me happy, you know, and I think for all of us, we take that value that you have to honor the orphan. We take that very seriously, you know. We don't give them
Yes,
second best. We don't give them what's left of ours. You know, we work with, we thank God we found Polytosh, and you know, they are, you know, providing the highest level, highest quality through Play Power and Polytosh commercial playground equipment that's available. And they're working with us to, because they believe in this cause too. So they're working with us and giving us, you know, really great rates, and we don't have to worry about the safety. And also, you know, there's something to having a sadka jariya, something that's going to last for generations. You know, we don't want
yeah,
to
that's true.
something that they'll
That's
use, it'll
true.
break, it'll be done. You know, this
Yes,
this
of
garden
course.
will be there for inshallah
Yes, of course.
generations.
Yes, and it's going to be used by many kids. You know, just now we have, I mean, 40 kids or more than that, and every day. So it has to be very strong,
Yeah.
so it can be there forever. Yes, you're right. So that's the thing that I was really surprised, and it, you know, well, I can't tell my feeling when I saw all that. I mean, it was just a little dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, it was just to put some plants, you remember? Just to put
Yeah.
some trees, some flowers to make it
Boom.
nice so they can enjoy it.
Right.
But here you are, it, well,
Dream bloomed. The dream bloomed and got bigger. And so tell me now, you know, when you see the kids out there playing, now we have enrichment programs there. We have people from the community coming and doing things with the kids, and art, music, sports. Do you see a change? You know these children
yeah.
better.
Yes, of course, yes, of course, because I mean, before they were not going up there maybe once, I mean, once a week or maybe once 2 weeks. Now they're going more often. I mean, I mean, they're planning, there is a plan. I mean, every day a group is going up there to play, not just the little ones, but also the handicapped ones.
Yeah.
And it helps them, you know, it helps them to improve their walking, and because they go up and down and they climb and they, you know, they've been using it a lot. Not just not just the planning by the orphanage, but there are many people that comes outside of the orphanage to take advantage of the place. For example, some volunteers start coming to do sports for the little ones, just, I mean, even for the 2 3 years old. And it just, I mean, a nice thing to see them how they play little sports with, I mean, an educator who is from that domain, you know.
Right.
And there are also schools that comes and bring the kids. I mean, I personally brought the kids that I have at school. I brought 2 classes there, which is, I mean, about 25 or 30 kids up there. And we spent the whole morning with them. We brought breakfast and we spent the breakfast there with them, and they've been playing with the kids up there. There are as well people who come for kafala sometimes. They plan little activity for the kids, like music and arts. They do some coloring with them and sets. They can bring more plants to the place, and help the kids to water the trees and the flowers. Many activities are going on. And it's not just for the kids. I can add as well for the nurses.
Mhm.
Sometimes the nurses, they just want to take a little break. They can go up and have a cup of tea and relax and then go back to their work, which is good. Sometimes they plan their all lunch up there, and they set up a table and have lunch and have some music going on, and then they can go back. They can at least relax a little bit and have a space where to be away from all baby crying and all that stress, have a peaceful time, and then be back to their work.
Yeah, it was really incredible for me when I came back and visited in October and saw how different the orphanage was from when I was first there before the playground and then to this. And I remember sitting on that rooftop and I was talking to Faiza, the head nurse, and I asked her, she was so happy with the space, and I said, if there was anything more we could give you, what would it be? And she said, we like to stay out here even at night. So if you can give us more lights up here, because she said
Yes.
we like to have our dinner here. And that was something really powerful for me because I realized that, this space is, something they're also becoming creative on how to use it. And, one of the things Bloom always wanted to do was give a space where the local community could start coming and understanding, because we want to empower that local community. We want them to know
Yes.
about these kids and have a place to do activities with them. And when I went for my adoption at that time, the orphanage was just one part of the fifth floor inside the hospital. So even if someone wanted to play with the kids or volunteer, there was nowhere to go. There was,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's like you said, there's crying, there's noise, it's dark. So
Yes.
to have some space to break
Of
up and
course.
go in different areas, it really was incredible to see the difference, and also how the nurses were taking this space and creating their own ideas of how to use
Yes.
it and different things to do.
Of
It was
course.
beautiful. um
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You're right. Because when people come just to donate some little, sometimes just chocolate or, cookies, or they just want to spend some time with the kids. They're not allowed to get inside the room where all the babies are,
yeah,
because when you get inside, you can get attached to one of them.
yeah,
So when we take them up on the roof, we can take just some kids up there, and
yeah,
they can be away from the others. They won't see everybody because they're not allowed to see everybody. So they've been told, no, you can just let your donation and go because you cannot get inside that room.
yeah,
So hopefully now they have a space where to be with some of the kids, not all of them, but some of them.
yeah.
So that
And it's
was
safe
really a
and
great,
protects the
I,
children, and
of
yeah,
course.
so in Meknes, this orphanage we've been talking about is the one for the young children. And then once they get to school age, they're moved to the annex, which is for the older
Yes.
children,
Mhm.
age 8 and above.
Yes.
And over there, we did a second project with you, and that was the fitness room. So we took a broken room at the orphanage and we fixed it up, and we put really high quality fitness equipment in that space. So can you share a little bit about that project and the impact that's had and if it's being utilized?
Yes, of course. So my experience with the older ones is I used to go there just to teach them English, and that teaching English was just a purpose to be with them. They didn't really need that because most of them, they go to the American Language Center, and they have other teachers. I was there just to be with them for time. So being with them, I was always asking them what they, what their needs, and they was always talking about sports. We would love to have a membership in that gym place. We want to do that. But even though sometimes we got them some membership in some places, the problem was how to go there. The transportation was a little bit a problem because, as you know, the annex is a little bit away from downtown.
Yeah.
So, and even though we get the membership for 1 month, 2 months, it lasts quickly. And then they need again one more, you know, and there
And
are
maybe
so
you
many
can
of
do
them.
that for 1 or 2 children, but
Yeah, yeah,
hundreds
we
you're
cannot,
not doing.
yeah, we
Yeah.
cannot give them all of them.
Right.
And then the problem of transportation to go there and be back, and sometimes they need to go after school. So then after school it gets dark and it's nighttime, and they're not allowed to be out until, you know, they have a strict timing to be out. They cannot be out, I mean, after 8 o'clock at night, or, you know. So the problem was, I mean, we have to fix something inside and something that they have by, you know, for them.
Yeah.
And here comes the idea to do that room.
Yeah.
So they were really, really happy with that. It was just the best thing that happened to them, because they had only a little, I mean, it's a little space where they play basketball and football, but they didn't have anything else. And if 10 of them play basketball, then the others, they're just watching, you know, they need turn on that.
Right.
So hopefully now they have two spaces, the one where they can play football, soccer, and then the gym place where they do as well as turn and groups. And they, I mean, they take advantage of that.
And I can
And as you can
tell
see, even the caregiver, they sometimes use the room as well.
when we went to the orphanage in October, after the fitness room was built, I don't know if you remember, but right when we walked in, the first caregiver said, "Thank you, Bloom, for the fitness room. I lost 10 kilos." So she,
Of course, of
happy
course.
caregivers, healthy caregivers is good for the children too. So we love to see that everyone's using those spaces, and seeing the young men, showing me their muscles, and feeling so
Mhm.
excited and empowered and more confident. With your
Yes,
health, your fitness, it elevates your mood. It makes you more confident in society, and
sure.
also for them to have something that they're proud of, that they're proud to have such a high tech, well equipped fitness room. And I think
Mhm.
it's so important for these children to feel pride in the space that they have. It should be a high quality space that they don't feel ashamed of.
Yes, of
So,
course. Yeah. And this is, I mean, teenagers, this is the only thing that they think about. It's just to build their muscles, you know, and to show up and to feel like, listen, here I am, look at how I am. You know, this is what matters more than studies these days.
yeah. There was one project that you and I were working on, Bloom and was working with you. That was the sensory room. It was something that actually, I was doing with consultation from Jackie Spinner. And we had talked about how many of the children in the orphanage develop, issues with sensory dysregulation, and how important it is for them at a very young age to have access to a sensory room, where they can spend some time and focus on their senses. And we started working on that, but that project's on hold, because the room we were going to use is no longer available, because unfortunately there's too many children
Yes.
in the orphanage now.
Yes, yes, that's true. So Faiza was so excited about that.
Yeah.
And we went out and we chose all the things that you have told us to buy. You know, hopefully, and alhamdulillah, we find everything,
Yeah.
and we bought all the material needed for that room. And we started even painting the room and put in what, you know, the thing that you told us to do and all the instructions. But recently I mean, some kids, they have to move to that room and they have to use it for older kids.
Yeah.
And that's why that project is just on hold, because Faiza is so excited about the idea and she is willing to do that. We have found a little place on the hall, because they have that hall and it's a little bit wide on a place.
Mhm.
So we may be planning to got that, I mean, on the way to enter to the orphanage, there is a little space going up to the roof. Remember, there is a square little place. So maybe
Yeah.
we're planning to
Yeah.
put something there, and maybe we can add a room there if they will be all the time using that room for the kids. If not, we can always go to that room, inshallah. So this is a project which is just postponed to another time,
And I'm
inshallah.
praying every day that those orphanages empty out, that there's less and less children, that we don't have this issue of more children
Yes.
being there, but we have the issue of, oh, there's no kids left to play. You know, that would be the best problem is
Of
for
course,
orphanages,
yes, of course, for
inshallah,
sure,
they
for
should
sure.
be empty one day, inshallah. So I want to, share with everyone watching about this project we're fundraising for now, which is a play garden for the Darul Wafa orphanage in Fez. You were with us, the Bloom board visited in October. We were touring many orphanages to decide who we wanted to work with to fundraise in 2020 and then build, inshallah, something for them in 2021. And we decided, all of us, as soon as we saw this orphanage, we were committed to it. It's home to almost 200 boys ages 5 and up, and it was in a condition that really, really needed a lot of love and attention. The children really just kind of stood around. They didn't have a place to sit, much less to play or exercise. So, can you share with everyone a little bit about how that experience visiting that orphanage was for you, and if you think, that those kids would benefit from these kinds of projects?
Yes, so I mean, until now, I have visited many orphanages, I mean, around Morocco, and that's because of you. Whenever you come, I go with you and visit at orphanage. So that was I mean, the only one that really broke my heart. It was, um, it, I don't know how to explain that, but the kids, you can feel that they are just bored and nothing to do, really nothing to do. Not even a little room with a big TV where they can spend some time together or where they can gather. As you can remember, the kids were just sitting outside in the little stairs outside of the orphanage at the door
Yeah,
and nothing really to do.
yeah,
The only little place they have is just a little yard out behind the orphanage where they can play some, basketball. That's the only place they have, I mean, in the whole orphanage. I mean, you can tell that they are, I mean, the only orphanage I can see in all of those that really, really, really in need. And
yeah.
it has to be, I
This
mean,
is many of the orphanages we've seen. And I think, even before this, we would feel heartbroken, when we would see the children don't have a place to play or anything. But
yeah.
there was something about this orphanage where it was so dramatic, that they
Yes,
didn't have a place
yes,
to sit properly and relax with
yeah,
each other. They literally were just standing, leaning against the walls.
yes. That's what break my heart. And I said, well, I was a little bit lazy and I was just going with you, just I wanted to see how things are there.
Yeah,
But then I said, no, 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 I have to work on that. I have to help again this time, even though it's not in Meknes, it's fast, it's okay, just 1 hour driving.
yeah,
But I mean, I will do that again one more time, and I will help you. That's for sure. Even though I have to go there, yeah, I don't mind. But we have to do something for those kids. I cannot let them, I mean, without fixing something for them.
yeah,
And especially as not just for the little ones, but as well for the old one. I mean, we can do the same thing. For the little one, we can do playground. And for sure, we have to help the older ones and the teenager one. They need as well a place where to, I mean, uh, how we say that, a gym place or a place where they have their own equipment. And as you can see, we saw they have a space there which is ready for that.
just there's nothing in it. It's like literally
Yeah.
empty rooms, no
Yes.
chairs, no tables, no
Yeah.
nothing. So there's
I
so
mean, not
much
just one
space.
room. They have many, many rooms just empty, nothing there, not even couches, not even tables.
Yeah, I mean, with, like, for example, like Meknes or Annex, they didn't have empty rooms. We had to find a room, we had to fix it up. With
Yeah.
this orphanage, it's literally an empty canvas that we can really do a lot here. We
Yes.
can really fill this space up with love and warmth and
Yes.
activities, and
Of
give these
course.
children a way to fill those walls with joy, and
Yes.
experiences. And it's tragic,
Yes.
it's really tragic to see
Yeah.
how they're living, and to
I
think that
mean, no, I have noticed no libraries,
yeah,
no, I mean, space where they can have laptops and, desks. They don't have even place where they can study.
yeah,
They study in their little rooms. You see, like a room that have like two beds, and they have to study inside that. They don't have I mean, a peaceful place where they can study, no libraries, no space where they can have some time and gather together like TV or,
we have
many rooms can be fixed, not just one or two.
exactly. We have big dreams for this orphanage. I really hope that you know people find it in their heart, even during this difficult time, to support these children, and do something for them. We're committed as ever. You're committed as ever. Inshallah, we can really,
Inshallah.
really show them that we love them and we care about them. And to think that they're quarantined in those conditions, it's really heartbreaking. When I speak to the other directors, the ones that have the play gardens, they're okay. They're saying, we're okay. We have some space to go outside. We have something to do.
Yes.
These kids have nothing. They have absolutely nothing, and we have to give them that opportunity to have a place that they can also feel proud of, and have good experiences in.
Yes, inshallah. Sure. I have a big feeling that it will be soon, inshallah.
Inshallah,
I
me too.
do have that feeling like every time.
Yeah. I know, God is with us, and honestly, our supporters are amazing. And even in difficulty, they've really opened up their hearts, to these children, and they really support this cause. And I'm so I feel so lucky that even at a time like this, we're able to do something for others. It's Alhamdulillah. It feels really,
Sure. Yes, that's because of all of them that this dream come true. Yeah, for sure. We would love to thank all of them.
yes.
Since we have been talking, yeah, we would love to thank all of them. That's because of everybody that dreams came true. We
Exactly.
just had the idea. That's all. But they've been doing the work. You
Exactly.
know.
Alhamdulillah. And I just want to say, thank you to you, Khadija, for being kind of the hands and feet on the ground in Morocco, for being with us since the beginning. Like you said, it was just an idea for me over here too.
Yeah.
And if I didn't
Yeah.
know you, and if we as Bloom didn't have this opportunity, after me, Noma came. She spent time on that rooftop. She spent time with you, and as co-founders, we felt confident that we could do a nonprofit, we could start a nonprofit, we could get this work done, because we knew that we could trust you, and that you were over there, helping us. And all of us,
Yes.
all of four of us, in Bloom,
Sure. I need to thank you
appreciate
for giving me that opportunity. Yeah, I need to thank you for giving me that opportunity to help all these kids and to be working, I mean, from one project to the other. I'm really, I mean, proud of you, and Allah helps you to continue all this amazing job and all this amazing
Alhamdulillah, I'm happy
projects.
that we're able to do this together, and I'm so grateful to everyone that supported us. And inshallah, will find it in their heart to keep supporting these children, so we can, um, make a difference in this world, inshallah.
Sure, sure.
Thank you. I love
Thank you. And it's always nice to talk to you, and talk to you soon.
you very soon, inshallah. We have a lot of
Good.
work to do.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
I want to start by just welcoming you and letting everyone who's watching know, who you are. You are our Bloom Community Coordinator.
Mhm.
Done some amazing work this year, and we're so pleased and blessed to have you on the team. And you actually are an adoptive mother as well. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in Bloom?
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Uzma, for that. I am actually honored to be a part of Bloom. I absolutely love Bloom and the work Bloom does. So, my name is Marwa, and I am an adoptive mother of two. I am a wife and an adoptive mother of two. That comes first. And I my son is from Meknes. My daughter is from Rabat. They're both from Morocco. And my husband and I are from Egypt. My husband was born, raised in the States. I was born in Egypt, raised in the States. And we actually came to adoption from an infertility background. So that's what has driven us to adopt. However, I do feel that adoption is not just for families who are like me and my husband who have come from an infertility background. I always say adoption is for anyone who has a heart, really. If you care for humanity, if you care for children, if you see how these children live, adoption adoption is for you. So, given that, I am also a medical technologist by profession. So now is a very busy time for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Now is a busy time. And I actually came to meet Amina, who was the door to Bloom for me through adoption. So Amina, I was put in contact with her before my trip to Morocco because her son, she was the family, I believe she was the family that traveled right before I traveled. So I got in touch with her to just ask her like questions like where to stay, which hotels, and I immediately felt a connection. And when Bloom started, I was like basically like sort of like begging her, take me with you, take me with you. So and that's how I joined Bloom.
Yeah. And
So Bloom Community actually Bloom Community is basically a safe space for adoptive families, or anyone who is like interested in adoption that has that has questions, that has concerns, that sometimes they have an opinion that they don't know where's the outlet for it. Or it could be like a problem with dealing with like a problem with the adopted child, or sometimes it's emotions that we have and we don't know if anyone else is feeling this. So this is a safe space for them to talk, to stay connected, and it's for our children too, because it's good for them to know other adopted children. It's good for them to know that they're not the only ones who are adopted, and it helps normalize adoption in a way.
So important. And I know a large part of Bloom's mission is also to make sure that they maintain that connection to their Moroccan culture.
Absolutely. So also part of it is having annual reunions. So we try to stay on top of that, is having annual reunions for the children to meet each other, to know each other, and to like you said, stay connected to each other, and stay connected to their Moroccan culture, because it's part of who they are.
Yeah. And you had a very successful reunion last summer. So do you want to tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about how that went and how you coordinated that?
Yes, the reunion was a great turnout. The children had a lot of fun. Um, so when we think of the reunion, we think of we don't want it to be. It's all about the children. It's for the children. It's about the children. So we wanted to make it something that the kids will enjoy. We didn't want lectures, even though sometimes it's really good to have lectures, but we just felt like this was not the right time for it. So we had it in a bouncy castle house place, and the children had a lot of fun. We got to meet a lot of families that we had not met before. Some were from, actually, it was hosted in Chicago, and we're planning to alternate that to different cities so we can include more families. And we got a lot of families from outside of Chicago, which was great. It was wonderful to see other families from outside of Chicago. And again, the kids had a great time, and we got to see each other, meet some families that we've known from before, and we met new families. So that was wonderful.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And I saw the pictures, and it looked like it was such an absolute joy for everyone who was there.
Yes.
So thank you for coordinating that. And from that, you initiated a fundraiser that was actually not hosted by Bloom. It was an independent fundraiser. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that was really a successful event, and Alhamdulillah was able to raise a lot of money for Bloom.
That event is very dear to my heart because it's, I pray it's the beginning of many events. So it was, I was the co-host. It was also hosted by my very dear friend, Hina Musani. So Hina is also an adoptive mother, and how we met is so beautiful. We actually met in Morocco while we were both adopting. I was adopting my son, and she was adopting her son. And it was by coincidence that we were both from Chicago. So it normally does not happen that two families from the same city are there at the same time, but because we were going through different agencies, so two separate agencies, and that's how by coincidence we ended up being there at the same time. So when Hannah and I met Amina during the reunion, and we were talking about Bloom and the funding and all the amazing projects that Bloom does, and we felt that money's an issue, funds is an issue, and if everything is lined up and it's just waiting for the funds, then we, the families who have seen the dire need for the work Bloom does in Morocco, then we have to step in, and that's what we did. And we planned the fundraising, and let me tell you, I don't think it was as hard. Like, now that I look back at it, I'm like, okay, it was like a crunch time, but it was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. And it turned out so beautiful. Everyone that I would talk to about the reunion, whether it's a coworker or a friend or a family member, or other adoptive families, they were all so excited. They were all supportive. They were, like, I had some of my coworkers who actually helped me, like, sell tickets.
Wow.
So, and because it's a work environment, I was trying to be very careful, not to advertise for my own, fundraising. but everyone was supportive, everyone was helpful, um, which really tells me that, this again, if you have a heart, this is for you. Anything related to adoption. So so it was very successful, very successful. The place looked so beautiful. Like we were just so happy with, how everything turned out. The place looked beautiful. The talkers were amazing.
Yeah, the
The
speakers, I did
speakers,
hear some
the
of them, they
speakers,
were
the
really
speakers,
good.
yeah. The speakers were amazing, and and uh, and alhamdulillah, we were able to raise a good amount.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
over $20,000, which
Yes,
is a significant amount of money for our
alhamdulillah.
projects.
Yes, alhamdulillah. It was great.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So I want to ask you, for people who might be interested in doing something like that on their own, what advice would you give them? Because it sounds like you did have a crunch time, but looking back, you're saying it worked out.
We did. So the way this started actually is is uh, it was very simple, like how Hannah and I set it up. We um we were really counting on, like, we're like our family's coming, and our friends. So we had very modest goals in terms of the amount of people who are going to come and the amount of funds that we are going to raise. Um, so we planned for that. We planned for modest goals in terms of people and funds, and we went from there. We decided on a date that worked for that. We felt like, okay, it was going to work for both of us. We're both working moms, so it worked for our schedule. And we we booked a place. We found a place. We negotiated with the place and told them this is for a charity, and we explained what Bloom does and who we are. So we found a place, and we did everything on Evite and Eventbrite. I'm sorry, we did everything on Eventbrite, and we started sending out like announcing it, invitations, and um, talking about it, telling people about it, posting it on Facebook. Um, we posted some flyers in local mosques. That was very good advertising for it. And again, it was I think it was mainly word of mouth. Let's just spread the word, and a lot of people are interested. A lot of people are interested in knowing more about Bloom, and knowing more about. There's a lot of unknown in how children live in an orphanage, or a lot of unknowns about adoption in general. So meeting adoptive parents, seeing adopted children, that really it shows how it's normal. It's totally normal. So and a lot of people are interested in knowing that. So we had a great turnout. Like the place we booked was full. Um, one and some people actually are very passionate about this. Um, uh, we had one very generous donor who donated a huge amount of $10,000. So that was fantastic. Um, and it was in honor of his father, who had passed away a day before the reunion. He was planning, not the reunion, I'm sorry, the fundraising event. So that very generous donor was planning to come to the event, and he decided to honor his father by donating this amazing amount of funds to Bloom. So people are passionate about this.
Yeah.
And again, if they have, because they have seen it firsthand. Their adoptive parents, they have seen how these children live, and again, the dire need of the work Bloom does.
Thank you so much for that. And I think you're so right also when you're talking about the fact that, you know, for a lot of Muslim families who haven't seen people adopt, because it is something that in some Muslim circles it's considered a little bit unusual or taboo. And that is something that I have seen, is that, you know, as people are experiencing it or seeing it and seeing other people do it, they suddenly realize that, oh yeah, this is something that I want to do, or that, you know, I wanted to be a part of.
Yeah. And I think this is where this is our part as adoptive mothers and fathers and families and uncles and aunts and friends. This is our goal. This is our place to be, is to normalize it, because it's normal. You know, we're not trying to normalize anything that is not normal. This adoption is in Islam. Adoption is I kind of want to say is I don't want to use big words, but I kind of want to say it's the rule of God in life. Like, you'll see adoption in animals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe this will get edited. Maybe no more will edit.
That's so interesting though.
But it's everywhere, and it's in Islam, and it's and we're not trying to normalize anything that is not normal. What's not normal is to say is to think it's okay for children to live in an orphanage. That's what's not normal. What's not normal is to know how these children live and to not do anything about it. That's not normal. So what we're doing is to, and again, what Bloom does, as amazing as it is, as wonderful as it is, it's not the solution. The solution is every child needs to have a home. This is the second best thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the second best thing, because we know we're not living in a perfect world. Some children, sadly, will not get adopted, and they will have to stay in an orphanage for the rest of their lives. And it's really sad. But then we try to give them the second best thing. But what's normal is to have a home, is to find them a home, and to talk about it, and not to be shy about it. And you know, when people approach me and they ask me, how are people like treating your children? How's your family accepting? And I tell them one thing. It's adoption. For me, I make it. It's what I make it. If I make it a hush hush, don't mention it, don't talk about it, it's gonna be the elephant in the room. But if I talk about it, and I talk to my children about it, and I'm sort of open about it to some extent. So there are some things that, you know, of course I wouldn't share, because they're my children's information. It's for them. It's not up to me to share it. But if I share my experience, then that's going to it's normal. I make it normal, or I'll make it not normal.
And a lot more psychologists now are saying it's better for children to know their roots, and something that Islam has always advocated. But for their long-term psychological health, it's better.
Absolutely. And I believe it's something that needs to be established from early on. Of course, every child has different situation, different circumstances. The age is a huge factor too. But I adopted both my children under 1. My son was 4 months when I got him. My daughter was 7. And I try to talk about it from that very young age by just simply like mentioning, how lucky I am that I adopted them. And I find it like, yes, they're not going to understand at that age. I'm well aware of that. But part of it is practice for me. I have to practice saying it, because if all of a sudden they're 5 or 6 and I've never mentioned adoption, it's going to be awkward for me to talk about it. It's going to be weird for me to talk about it. And part of it too is we have to say it. We have to say it. We don't have to talk about it all the time. And I absolutely don't like and sort of stop when people. It only happened like once or twice. When someone like would introduce my kids as, oh, this is my adopted so and so nephew, niece, or whatever, and I'm like, no, they're your niece or nephew. They're not your adopted. They're your niece or nephew. I don't want them to be identified as the adopted. It's not who they are. It's a part of who they are, and it's a part that should not be ignored or neglected. But it's not the highlight of who they are.
Yeah. And I think that this is what, we're so blessed in Bloom to have you as an advocate for the kids and as a coordinator, because you really do have this depth of understanding about, adoption. And that was just a beautiful, beautiful expression. I think those are the things that are helpful to parents that are going through adoption and thinking about all these questions. So, alhamdulillah.
Thank you.
And today I know that we're going to be raising funds for Fez, which is an orphanage that is in really dire need. When we went in October, the children are lacking a lot of even, basic needs. But they are boys and they have no space to let out their energy, to exercise, to play. So inshallah, that's the goal is to raise the funds to provide them with a space.
That's fantastic. Just this morning, I was thinking this quarantine that we have all been in, the whole world has been in, and I was really thinking, I'm like, this is the everyday life of a child in an orphanage. It's been like a month and a half for us here in Chicago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the everyday life of a child in an orphanage. There is nowhere to go. There is no playground because playgrounds are closed, at least in my city, and you only have this limited space with the people you're living with, whether you can stand them or not. you're here, and there's no end of this lockdown for them. They're locked down until they either get adopted or they're old enough to leave the orphanage, which is usually not a very good situation, because if they have not established the skills, if they have not healed, if they have not built the social skills to deal with the world, to deal with the society, to be accepted, to feel accepted, and to be accepted, how are they going to survive outside? They've never seen the outside.
Yeah.
So it's a dire need for this work. It makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Yeah.
Mm.
And part of what the playgrounds do and what our hope is for those kids that are unfortunately stuck in there and they don't have any outlet is to give them a space where they learn interpersonal skills, because when children play together, they learn a lot of social skills, but a lot of times in the orphanages, they're just sitting and doing nothing and not even interacting with each other. So one of the benefits, especially for the younger kids, is for them to learn to play together, share, interact, and help each other, and all of those things. And then as well to bring the community, the local community, into these spaces, because once a space is there, then we can bring in a yoga instructor, we can bring in musical instruments, we can bring in, all kinds of arts and crafts and reading. And people have responded in the spaces that we have already built, especially the one in Meknes.
Mm-hmm.
There are enrichment programs that are coming in. And that has a dual benefit. One is that the kids are being exposed to new ideas and arts and things that their caregivers may not have time to provide. But it's also making them visible to their neighbors and their community. So the hope is that when there is a situation like this coronavirus, that the people around are aware that there is an orphanage here and there are children there, and they have that in them that, oh, I wonder if they're okay, or maybe we should check on them. So that's one of the things that we've found, that the orphanages that have playgrounds right now that Bloom has provided are doing better in a lot of ways than the ones that don't, because those kids do still have the ability to exercise and to play and have an outlet for their energy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this coronavirus outbreak is an eye opener for us in so many ways, And this is something that we really have to think about: is how are these children doing? How are these children doing during this lockdown? Are they okay? And then this is when we need the locals to step in. I mean, we can only do so much, and we need the locals to step in. But like you said, they have to be aware, and some are not even aware that there's an orphanage there. And it's sad, but we have to raise awareness. We have to talk about it, and we can't be shy about this, because there's nothing to be shy about. This is an amazing thing. It's an amazing organization with very noble goals, and we have to advocate for it.
Absolutely, especially during the month of Ramadan.
Absolutely.
When in the Quran, the command comes over and over to care for the orphan.
Yes.
So we're very blessed to have the opportunity even to do something good in the world.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Marwa. This was such a wonderful conversation, and I'm so pleased that you were able to join me. And just thank you for everything that you do.
My pleasure, Uzma. Thank you. This was wonderful. I was really, really humbled to be a part of Bloom. And I hope and I pray that this amazing work that Bloom does only continues to grow and to bloom.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you, Uzma. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.
Good. Alaikum salam. How are you?
I'm doing well, all things considered. How's the quarantine going for you? Are you holding up okay?
Okay.
Yeah. I can't believe, just not that long ago, we were taste testing for the Bloom Gala, eating delicious food, trying to pick a great menu. And that gala was supposed to be now, and now it's been postponed to October. And I don't think either of us could have imagined then that we'd be sitting here on Zoom now.
No, not in a million years. And I guess going forward, we could just stay positive. We already did the tasting, so at least that's taken care of. We know the menu, and we can just say that, we're just going to have it. We're still going to have it. It just has been postponed. Everything should go as planned. We shouldn't just like put a stop to to these big plans that you have.
Exactly. And inshallah, we're all praying, and I'm hopeful that by October everything will be clear and we'll get to meet and hug, and it'll be just a nice celebration. But I want everyone to actually be introduced to you properly. And I met you just a year ago at our first annual gala for Bloom. Yeah. And we had a very fateful conversation that night. And we both kind of knew it was a moment where this was kind of a meeting that was meant to be. And since then, you've become a part of our core team. So I'd love for you to just tell everyone, about what your experience was, how you got to know about Bloom, and then decide to get so involved.
Sure. Yeah. So like you said, we did meet at your gala that one of my friends invited me to. And I was so excited because it was like the first time, I was invited to a charity event, a Moroccan charity event. So I was excited to go and expected it to be like a big Moroccan, fundraiser. And when I went in, I kept on looking around, and there were not a lot of Moroccans. It was a successful event. It was packed. Everything was great. A couple of my friends were there, but there were not a lot of Moroccans. So I remember that's when I approached, one of the guests was sitting next to me and got to know a little bit about Bloom. And she said, you know what, I'm going to introduce you to the founders. And she introduced me to you. And I just felt like what you guys are doing was something just amazing. And you're doing it for my home country, for Morocco. And it was just sad that there were not a lot of Moroccans involved. And I felt like, not because they don't want to, I felt like they just didn't know, just like I did not know. I know you told me Bloom had existed prior to that, but it was the first time I knew about it. So after leaving that day, it was just a very strange feeling. I thought I should, because I know a lot of Moroccans, and if I talk to them and I introduced your organization to them, I know they would want to be involved. So that's why I wanted to try to figure out things, and we planned that little iftar, even though it was a small event, but it was just to get the name out there. I thought it was my job to do that because I found out about it. I needed to let other people know about it because it's really what you're doing is amazing.
You did that so quickly, like I think within a month after the gala, you had an event where you had me come and introduce me to more of the Moroccan community. And that was so valuable. And, it was interesting because as a board, we always talk about what our areas of weaknesses are. And one of the things that, I had just brought up was that we need more outreach into the Moroccan American community. And while I consider myself, tied to Morocco now as the mother of a Moroccan, as, having adopted from Morocco, I don't know the community. And so I knew that that's an area of weakness for us and that we wanted that opportunity to reach out. And then, and then that night I met you and it just all fell into place. And you're our community outreach coordinator now, and you've been doing so much to kind of help Bloom get that visibility in the Moroccan American community. And you've even taken it a step further by launching your own initiative. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've been going to a lot of events, a lot of fundraiser events, and I've seen great things being done in so many other countries. And I just thought, like, we're missing something. Like, we need to connect with the Moroccans and introduce them to what everybody else is doing. Why not us? It just became like, why not us? I have a few friends, and I have so two of my close friends, Dina and Amal. We hang out a lot. We go to these events, and we started saying, what if we started something just as three professional women? Because I feel like there's a trust issue. People need to see something legit before they want to get involved. Yeah. And Bloom is the real deal. It's you've showed people where their money goes. That's what I really liked and appreciated. And I thought Moroccans they will donate, they will get involved if they just see, what is being done. So you're doing your end, and my part was to reach out to the Moroccans, but the Moroccans who have their heart in it.
Yeah.
And that's when we started, we created Emma, Empowering Moroccans in America. And we had our first event. Our first event actually was International Women's Day on May 8th, which was really, really it was right before this madness. Thank God we had our little event.
I know.
Yeah, so we started with that, and we could have had like so many people attend. We limited it to I think 40 people. And it was successful, and we brought up Bloom, and we brought up any, just different projects that people can get involved in. And the response was phenomenal. We had these little cards for feedback. Literally every person left feedback. It was all positive, and all of it was, yes, let us know. We want to get involved. Let us know whatever you're doing, we will get involved. And so you reached out to me, I guess, maybe like 3 weeks ago about the orphanage.
I think it was March 13th, the day the schools closed in Morocco. Yeah, I reached out to you. So, one thing I'd like people to understand is that part of Bloom's mission is advocating for the needs of the orphanages. And so even when it's not something that we can address ourselves, I do feel strongly that part of our role is that we know what the orphanages need, and we have these relationships in the orphanage. So if they're going through something like a crisis, then it's our job to make sure that they get the support they need. Right. So I'll just give people a little background. Before I called you, I had started reaching out to the directors of the orphanages that we've built a relationship with through Bloom. And I found out that the orphanage that we're actually fundraising for now in Ramadan, Dar al-Wafa Orphanage in Fez, was in a really dangerous situation. They were in a crisis, and they needed urgent supplies for food and hygiene. And so, this overcrowded orphanage without proper nutrition, almost 200 boys, ages 5 and up, and without soap and things to protect themselves, it was really scary. And so I reached out to some different partner organizations, and I reached out to you and Emma, and I told you about the situation to see, how you could help, and then you kind of took it from there.
Yeah, jumped on it. It was like I said before, our organization, we just started, and then we had all these plans of what we're planning to do, monthly gatherings and planning other stuff. But obviously coronavirus just put a halt, onto everything. So when you told me about the orphanage, it's all new to us. We haven't really prepped for anything, but there were kids who needed to eat and needed hygiene things. So I talked to my teammates, and we just we said, let's do it.
Yeah.
We didn't know. I've never used that GoFundMe, and we started, and literally within days, I think we just collected the amount. We didn't even know how we were going to get it to Morocco, but alhamdulillah, it just, things worked out. We got the money to them. They were even shocked, at how quickly it was done. So this goes to show you that the Moroccan community, they are compassionate. They want to help. They want to contribute. They just want to know where they're contributing. They want to know where they're spending their money, and that it's going to the right place. So hopefully, we will move forward with other, help wherever we can. And I think at this time, what we have is your iftar that was canceled.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be canceled. I think I remember when I talked to you about doing virtual runs to raise money, doing virtual things. We should do a virtual iftar where people who are planning to attend, because we started, right? We had started launching the event.
Yeah, we had just sent it out. Everything was just getting going, and then hard stop, and so we were fortunate that we were able to postpone it. The Westin and Tyson's, where we're having it, allowed us to get the alternate date of October 10th. But, we had made this intention of thinking about the orphans and having an iftar for them in Ramadan. And we wanted, to stay true to that. And that's something that you and I had talked about. And we thought, how can we still keep this niyyah that we had and keep them at the forefront of our minds in Ramadan, and even in this kind of a crisis situation, it's so important for us to think about everyone. And, we're so fortunate that, our biggest issue is that we miss hugging our friends and we miss putting on our nice clothes and going out of the house. But, we're thinking about what are we going to bake next, or what are we going to make for iftar the next day? And, what project are we going to do? But these children truly, in these orphanages, the donations have stopped. The caregivers, only a few of them are quarantining with the children. So now, they're left scared, isolated, alone, hungry. Adoptions, the orphanages that do international adoptions, those have stopped. So now you're dealing with a crowded orphanage getting even more crowded, So there's such a ripple effect, and there's so many vulnerable people that are suffering. And I think one thing, I know you and I, we've been on the phone so much through this pandemic, but
it's a good thing.
it's a good thing.
We get to spend some time together.
And it's felt nice to be able to do something for someone else, even in a time like this, that we've still been able to, even from being confined in our homes, still support the children and still show them how much we love them, and give them that good feeling that they're not forgotten.
No, they're not. And I feel like actually this time, I feel like they need us even more because of what you just said, the lack of care. The ones, thank God, there are some who stuck around and, to help out. Thank God, the food is sort of being worked out at this point, but there's more than just the food, there are the plans that you had, there's your playground and, the areas that you're trying to build for these kids and for the other orphans that are come afterwards. It should not be something, to kind of forget about or put on hold. You can't put it on hold. Right. We have to adjust. And I know people's situations change, right? Like some people are not working right now. Some people don't know their future. So I feel like when we do our event as planned, and make it still, it should be fun. It's an iftar, it's Ramadan, we still need to celebrate Ramadan, let's not forget that. And just reach out to people, and those who can, maybe they had in mind to donate a certain amount, they can probably donate half. Maybe they can share it with other people. They can reach out to a lot more, even sharing it, praying for these kids, prayers are so powerful. And just have that sense of still being together. Like, we're not stopping. Bloom is not going anywhere. You're still, and I admire you. I really do, because this is like a daily thing for you. Sometimes I really wonder, like, when I talk to you and I go back and I talk to my husband, or even talk to my kids, because I like to keep them involved and things like that. And I'm like, this is just amazing. You have your situation as well. We all are trying to adjust, but Bloom is like your, it's your priority. And if you're making it your priority, we all should. All of us as Moroccans should really, really think hard and consider, taking from ourselves and giving, because that's what it's all about. We don't take anything with us, what we take with us is what we gave, and we just need to give when we can, and let other people know. And that's how we share it and get to complete that project that you have. It has to be completed.
When I think about last October, when I went to this orphanage, and we walked up and there were just boys just leaning against the walls, just standing there. They really had nothing to do. They have rooms with crammed bunk beds. So it's not like they're in the bedrooms all day. The common areas are empty. There's no grass, there's no playground, there's no a place to play a soccer or basketball, or no fitness room for them to exercise. They're literally just standing there leaning against the walls. And, it's just heartbreaking to think that they're now quarantined in those conditions. And, an idle mind, is a devil's playground, as we know, and we need to give these boys a positive outlet, things they can do that build their confidence, that build their relationships with each other and their bonds and their friendships, and just try to make the orphanage as positive of an experience as it can possibly be, and for them to feel supported and loved. And when we talk to the directors and the children in the orphanages that have the playgrounds, it's dramatic to see how much better they're doing in this quarantine, and how, the directors are saying, the children have a safe place to go outside to play, and they're not doing so poorly through this experience.
Yeah.
And so, we need to make sure that each orphanage in Morocco and really all over the world, these children are treated like they're our own, and they're given the best, they're honored. Our faith tells us honor the orphan. So, I always think about that in terms of, it's not about giving them what's second best. It's about giving them the best of the best. And even our playground equipment, it's not just, a playground equipment you can just buy off Amazon. It is commercial level.
No, I've seen I've seen the pictures, and I haven't been there, but I've seen the pictures, and it looks like, some great playgrounds, things that we have here.
Exactly. And this,
or even better, which is nice.
We want this equipment to last for generations. We want the trees we plant to grow and give shade to these children for years to come. And for us, I think this is the values we hold dear. These are children that deserve our love and our attention. And I'm so appreciative of everything you've done this year to help me bring light to Bloom.
I actually appreciate you, because up until that day in April when you had your gala last year, I like I said, I would donate to different organizations, but because that's the right thing to do, and then you move on. But you introduced me to something totally different, totally amazing, that just that gift of giving, and that gift of wanting what's best for others, and the very unfortunate, and helping out. The reward is just, let me tell you, that day when I made that wire, when we collected money from the GoFundMe, and I had to send money for the orphanage where they said they couldn't eat, that it took me like an hour to do the wire. I've never done wiring overseas, and it kept on timing me out, and it was just crazy. So it took like an hour, and I was getting frustrated. But the minute I finally did it, and I got the confirmation that it was done, and I was able to text and tell them, hey, you guys got the money, you have the funds, that feeling and the picture, because I remember you sending me pictures of those orphans, and because you that one was very, special to you. Like, these kids, I've seen them. So it became personal to me too. And I just pictured those kids. I'm like, if they're hungry, and you just send them money to eat, basically basic, something that, thank God, we're still okay with. We're still eating, we still have a roof over our head and everything else. So to me, that very small thing that we did as Emma, compared to what Bloom does, it's just phenomenal. It's just unbelievable. And I thank you for that. And hopefully together we will, keep your projects going. I know we will get the help that we need. I know people will come out, people will donate, and because they see what you're doing. Every year you come back and you report back, as to every single project that you've done. So, and during this month, hopefully people will really, really step up. And we're already in April, so we have 8 months left.
Yeah.
And inshallah, you can meet your goals. Are we mentioning the virtual iftar at all, or are we just gonna?
So this actually recording is going to be in the virtual iftar, and we can just clip this part out. So
Okay.
we're going to take this recording and insert it in the virtual iftar.
Okay. And how are we announcing the virtual iftar? Just like, you're gonna create an event?
Yeah, it'll be an event on Facebook, and then we'll live stream this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. So that people, kind of know
Hold on,
about
let
it.
me pause this. Yeah. So, inshallah, people will still support this cause. And, this year we understand that our supporters are dealing with so many challenges. So as you know, we've actually modified our Ramadan appeal this year. So there's 3 ways that we can still show the children at Dar al-Wafa and Fez that we love them and support them. So we can, you can always donate to Bloom, but this year we also introduced the opportunity to make a pledge. So you can make a pledge in Ramadan and fulfill that by the end of the year. And, if you find yourself in a position where neither of those things are viable for you, then we have created a virtual prayer wall. And, we still want our community of supporters to know how much even your prayers mean to us. And we want to be able to embrace the children in the orphanages in Morocco by sharing with them the prayer and love that was sent to them. So be sure to go on the virtual prayer wall through Bloom on Facebook and leave the kids a message of love and support.
I love it. I like all the ideas. And I think we should really, I mean, yes, it is different this year, but I'm still staying positive. I'm seeing that people are still, helping out, and we still have, like you said, I love the pledge idea, because maybe things are not great right now, but things will pick up maybe in September, things will be better, and we can still go ahead and, fulfill that pledge. And I believe in sharing. Even, sharing is so huge, because that's how people, the more people that know about it, the more you're going to get to accomplish your goal in finally building that playground and making that space for this orphanage. I know your goals are huge, and I know right now your goal is Morocco right now, but I know, and I can see Bloom going all over the world. I know you're targeted at one country at a time. You started in Morocco because it's special to you, but I can see you, helping kids, all over the world, and I'm so happy and honored to be part of such a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much, Ilham. I love you so much, and thank you for everything. And enjoy your iftar.
Thank you. And, you too.
I'll talk to you soon.
Can't wait to give you that hug at some point soon.
I'm waiting for it.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
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 Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Ramadan Kareem. How are you, Khalid?
I'm doing good. Ramadan Kareem for you too.
Good.
Everything
is good. I'm just staying at home, spending time with the kids, and trying to make the most of this different Ramadan. It's been different for sure, but many good things. How about you?
Well, I could join my family also to spend Ramadan with them.
Alhamdulillah.
So, alhamdulillah. So I'm spending these days with them.
That's wonderful. Normally in Ramadan, are you in Casablanca?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm sure the home cooked meals are wonderful.
Definitely, of course.
It's hard to replace that, right?
Yeah. So, what is really difficult is that I have to work from 9 to 3 o'clock. So if I was in Casablanca, I wouldn't have enough time to cook.
Yes. Exactly. So you're working remotely?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. No, I think I am really excited, as I was telling our audience, to introduce you to everybody. You are such an invaluable member of Bloom's team. And, and I think it was such an act of fate, how we met. And, I want to share a little bit with the audience about, how we came to be and how you became such an important part of our team. And, I always think back to just 3 years ago when we were getting ready to plan our first play garden installation, and we had the money, and we had everything ready to go, and we were just so excited to see the difference that may be able to make in the lives of these children. And at that point, I just kept thinking from a very personal standpoint that I knew that for myself and for other members of our core team, that truly
the seeds of Bloom were planted because of the observations of us and we thought of us as mothers, being able to see that deprivation firsthand is truly what compelled us to action in terms of providing these children with outlets, because we saw things that were so dire and so heart-wrenching and so frankly traumatizing that we felt that we had to do something. And I just kept thinking that the only way for us to be able to relay that experience to all the donors that we need, all of the support that we need in order to continue to provide for these kids, is if they too have it in sight, if they too have an opportunity to observe and to see what we saw. And you might be surprised by this, but when I was on LinkedIn and I was trying to find a photographer for this very reason, I actually came across a small little documentary that you had done about stray cats. And and it was beautiful. And I just thought, somebody who cares about the stray cats in his community is going to be the kind of person that can care about this cause. And that's why I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try. I'm just gonna throw out this email and see if this guy is interested. And, and that was the beginning of a beautiful, beautiful friendship, a beautiful relationship. And, I just can't wait to see where we go from here. So Khalid, you share with us what happened from then when you went to the orphanage for the very first time.
Thank you, Noma, for telling me this. This is the first time you're telling me that it was, yeah. Yeah, so I remember when you first contacted me and offering me to work for you, for Bloom, I mean. So yeah, when I knew that it will be for charity, for orphans, I totally said to myself, I need to do this as a voluntary work, not as a job, as I was working as a freelance photographer and videographer. So, and before I always wanted to visit an orphanage, but I just didn't have the chance to do that. And I remember the first time when I visited Meknes orphanage, it was somehow like a shock for me. Because seeing those kids living in such space, it was like quite small space and not enough for them to play or run or develop their abilities and their skills. It was frustrating for me, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I understand that frustration because I think that, I felt very much the same way. And I think, coming back from having that observation, it's hard to unsee something that you've seen. And it's almost impossible to turn your back once you've seen it. You feel a certain sense of responsibility. And, these days I just think about all of us, with these stay-at-home orders all over the world, we're all feeling a little bit of cabin fever, and I just think about how many times a day I want to go out for a walk, or I want to take, my children out to play and, get some sunlight. And it's so healing and it's so important at this time. And when I think about the fact that there are 8 million children living in orphanages around the world, there are 65,000 innocent children living in orphanages in Morocco, and the vast majority do not have access to sunlight. Not only are they deprived of, so many basic human rights, they don't have, they're missing the nurturing of a primary caregiver. I mean, let's start with that. And then to live in these unnatural circumstances, but to be in situations where you're never able to get out, to never able to have an outlet. Just the level of frustration it's hard to comprehend. And, and that's why I think this work is so vital and so important, and it makes such a huge difference. tell us a little bit more about what happened after you saw that situation and you saw those kids and you went in. And I know that they knew why you were there, because they had been told, and they were anticipating this, I think, for probably at least a few weeks, as everything was getting ready and as people were coming in and out onto the rooftop, because this first play garden project, for those that don't know, was on the rooftop of a hospital. The orphanage was on the 5th floor of a hospital. And our first play garden installation was going to be, you pass through the orphanage and you go up some steps and you go onto a rooftop. I know that we had systems engineers going up there to check the strength of the rooftop. We had our playground manufacturing company go up there. We had you go up there, you know, to kind of check everything, get ready for that installation. So tell us a little bit about, you know, what happened.
Yeah, I remember that day perfectly. And especially when the technicians, they start arriving and started transporting the play garden equipment into the roof. So the kids, they were asking so many questions. When are they going to start? When are they going to finish? When are we going to be able to start playing? So they were so excited, actually. And actually, when I first arrived to the space where the garden, the play garden would be installed, I didn't imagine that space will turn into a play garden. I was really not sure about it, but the results at the end was really a huge transformation. And the day of the ribbon cutting, children, they were so enthusiastic and eager to start playing, and I could see that the space, it turned from like a cold, empty space into like a space which is alive.
Absolutely.
And when they did the ribbon cutting, and children, like, they just run to play there, and they were so free. I could see freedom in their eyes. They were really happy so much.
Alhamdulillah. And I think that, you know, I think being able to witness that is such a blessing of God. There's nothing quite like it, you know, to be able to bring joy to children. And and you were able not only to see that firsthand for yourself, but you were able to share that with all of us. And I, for one, will never forget being on WhatsApp, FaceTime with the caregivers at the orphanage and seeing you wave in the middle, and, you know, watching that day unfold and seeing those children and listening to their squeals of laughter as they ran onto that play garden. It's an experience that will, sitting halfway across the world, it's an experience that will stay with me for the rest of my life. And I'm so grateful to you for being our eyes on the ground and for allowing us, living halfway across the world, to be able to witness that joy, because we wouldn't have been able to if it wasn't for, you know, your commitment to this organization. And it's invaluable, the work that you do for us.
Actually, I should thank you for offering me this opportunity. And you cannot imagine witnessing those kids and the big smile on their face. It makes me so happy.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And to think that since then, you know, we've funded 7 play garden orphanages. It's hard to believe, isn't it? It's
exactly,
really,
yeah.
And, you know, so that was your first play garden installation. And since then, you have been there for every single one of our installations and, you know, provided so much support to us, and in so many ways. You know, I think it started as, you know, photography, but it turned into translation work and media communications and project coordination and so many other things, so many ways that we've needed your support. And you've been always, you've never said no. You've always been there for us, and it's just incredible. And I'm just thinking now about just, I'm starting to get on my Google Photos and everything. I'm starting to get pictures and memories from just exactly a year ago that we were together in Saleh for the play garden installation there. It's hard to believe it's been a year already. That was also a pretty amazing day, and I cherish that day. I know it's been a full year, but you know, inshallah, there will be so many more, and we're so excited. We're so excited to continue this work, and we know how much more is needed. And as you know, every place we go, we go back. Like I went back to last year when I went back to Meknes. Seeing that rooftop, laying your eyes on that rooftop for the very first time, and you're absolutely right that when I go back there now, it's like a different experience. There's life in that orphanage. Those children have a place to go every day. They have a place to play. You see their laughter, you see their joy, you see something that they have to live for. And play is so vital to a child's development. And you hear that and you know that, but witnessing that is something very different. And it's literally, it was like instantaneously, it was like you turned a light switch on. That's how it felt going back. And it was like, I felt joy in that space, whereas I only felt fear and sadness and deprivation in that space when I would go before. And it's just incredible. Is there any one memory that you have of you've done so many at this point, is there anything that stands out, or one memory that you'll never forget?
It should be actually the first ribbon cutting I attended in Meknes project, and seeing for the first time those kids, seeing them inside the orphanage before the installation of the play garden, and see them after that. It's really a huge switch. Like when I saw them first inside the orphanage, they looked sad, and I didn't see any hope in their eyes. But when they were playing, I could see that look of freedom, a look like a bird that you released from a cage. It was really something which touched me like heavily in my heart.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I mean, I think, for me as well, I mean, that was absolutely incredible. And it was the first one. So the first one is also always just really special. But I think, another one that really stood out for like a memory that I will never forget, another memory, was when I was able to see an installation for the first time, witness one for the first time. And that was this last year when I was there for the ribbon cutting in Saleh. But before that, there was a project that we had been working on that had been, it hadn't been completed. We were working on completion, but we were trying to find a good company. And this installation was not for a play garden, but it was for a fitness center. Because we were trying to find ways to provide outlets for children that were older. These kids were between the ages of 8 and 18. And so for them, we had thought, we're going to take one of the rooms in the orphanage and turn it into a gym, into a fitness center. And I remember Mona and I were there, and we went to a large fitness store, Decathlon, and we bought treadmills and elliptical machines and weight machines and all these things, and mirrors, and whatever we could to get this space ready. And we asked them, can you send somebody to deliver the equipment? So we're still trying to figure out how to get this equipment delivered from the trucks into the space. And I remember standing there and just discussing with Mona, discussing with the director how we're going to get these things to move. And next thing I know, I look over and I see all the children, you know, these teenage boys crowded around the truck, and they were lifting these, you know, heavy boxes, you know, just all, you know, as many hands as they could get on each box. They just wanted to touch the boxes. They wanted to be able to hold them themselves, and they were just bringing them through with so much joy and excitement that I will never, ever forget. And all I did is just stand there and watch them bring it in, and watch them open it, and watch them, you know, install it themselves. And just the process of seeing them build this space for themselves was incredible. And I realized that, you know, they were so empowered. They felt so empowered, not only by the gift that we had given them, but by the opportunity to help out and to be a part of that whole process. And you know, it's these little things that being able to bring joy to those that are the most deprived is a real blessing, alhamdulillah. And you know, we're so grateful to you for everything. And you know, is there anything else, anything inspires you, anything you want to share with us, with our donors? You're on mute, Khalid. Hold on.
Excuse me. I want just to thank everyone who is participating in this beautiful project, especially the donors. I want just to tell them that you cannot imagine how many smiles, big smiles you just draw on children's faces. Without you, like, nothing could happen. Nothing, all of this couldn't happen. And thanks to everyone, this is still happening. Thank you so much.
Alhamdulillah. And thank you, Khalid, so much for joining us today. I want to end with a prayer for hope and healing for the whole world, because as you know, right now the whole world is suffering in one way or another. But you know, as we all know, these events and this pandemic, it's the most vulnerable that end up suffering the most. And although we've been appealing for orphans for a few years now, this time it's become even more dire. And they need us more than ever. And I really hope that everybody will consider even a little bit, you know, if you can help support our campaigns, please consider making a donation either through Facebook, or if you're not comfortable on Facebook, you can also visit our website, bloomcharity.org/Ramadan, Ramadan 2020. You can make a pledge to donate later, or you can donate a little bit now, a little bit, whatever you're comfortable with. But it really is each and every one of you that has made all of this possible, and we're so grateful. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Khalid.
Thank you, Rama. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care, and hopefully see you soon.
So I'll start by saying Ramadan Kareem, Assalamu alaikum, good to see you. So what I really wanted to chat with you about a little bit is one of the questions we get from donors. You know, whenever we do something live, inevitably somebody has a better idea for how, you know, Bloom can spend the money that we raise. Anything from, you know, diapers and formula in the nurseries to sometimes the directors will show us, you know, something in the kitchen that needs to be replaced. And these are all really important, but they're outside the scope of what Bloom does. You know, as you know, we build playgrounds and healing gardens, and we provide psychological and educational support to the orphanages for their beneficiaries. And that's a pretty big job in itself. And we like to really stay within that scope. That's our charter. What I was hoping you and I could talk about a little, so everyone watching will have a sense of it, is why that's important, right? In the midst of a global pandemic, why are playgrounds still important when all of this is happening around us? So if you want to tell everybody a little bit about your own background and your experience in Morocco, that would be great.
Okay, so I have two sons, Samir, who's 8, and Rafi, who is 5, and I adopted them when they were infants from the orphanage in Meknes, where you've built a beautiful garden on the rooftop. That garden wasn't there when my boys were at the orphanage. I think the pandemic has brought into focus for so many people why these places, these spaces that Bloom builds are so important. Many of us are trapped inside our homes right now, and we're feeling a little stir crazy. I was talking to a friend in Morocco. Her kids have been in their apartment now for 36 days. They have not been allowed to leave. In many parts of the world, the quarantine means you cannot leave your house. That was the case in Spain. And people have thought, wow, how is that possible? I can't imagine that. But many orphans in Morocco, that's their existence. They don't get to leave. They don't have a place to play. And so I'm hoping that the situation that everyone is in with the pandemic will make people more aware or sympathetic to what it must be like to grow up without a place to even go outside and get some fresh air.
No, absolutely. And, and as you know, I'm in the process of adopting a little boy from Casablanca. And one of the projects that we worked on most recently was a beautiful playground there. I think it's my very favorite one. And we went and did the site visit in 2018, and we had the ribbon cutting in October, and it was wonderful. We played with the kids, and what really struck me was some of the older kids had never been on playground equipment. This was their first time going down a slide or spinning on a spin knee, and that was amazing. And I'm so kind of a foot in each world, knowing I have a child in Morocco, as you know. And when I've been in touch with the orphanage there, they're in a complete lockdown, which is great. There's no outside visitors coming into the orphanage. The kids aren't going anywhere. They never do anyway. But these playgrounds are just for them. And I never expected when we started this project that I would have a child that would benefit from a playground that we built. And that has really been a source of peace, that the kids have a place to go and to just get out all of their energy and just some safety in what must be a very scary situation for them as well.
Yeah, I'm also, as you know, adopting another child who's in Casablanca in a different orphanage, and he too has a garden. It's not a playground, but a garden where he can play. And I know how fortunate, he is, and your son is as well, because there are so many orphanages in Morocco that don't have outdoor space. I mean, I can't imagine. I feel a little bit overwhelmed on some days with my two very active boys, but we have a backyard and we're able to go out and they can get some energy scootering and, walking around the neighborhood. I cannot imagine how different it would be for them in terms of their mental health. Right. And, in having to only be in the single room, in one room in our house or two rooms in our houses. And that is actually the situation so many orphans are in Morocco. We know kids need places to play. And it's also a way for them to, use their imagination. And there's so many benefits to play. In a space. It's different than playing with a toy. There's teamwork, taking turns for who's going to go down the slide, all sorts of games that you play on a playground. It's not just a playground that Bloom is building for these kids. It's a place where they can thrive and where they can develop.
No, absolutely. And I think that one of the benefits is when we have these ribbon cuttings, people come from all over. Orphanages, now they've heard our name, they come and present their projects for consideration. The government leaders in that city come. We've had media come, and it's been incredible for the orphanages that we serve. So when we go in, and I think I'll backtrack a little. One of our goals is to be really careful with your money. When you make a donation to Bloom, you've entrusted that to me. That money belongs to the children living in orphanages. And so I'm really careful with that money. And we have this design process, we have a discrete budget, and we build something that is nailed to the ground. Nobody's taking it home. Nobody's going to siphon off funds. We know where that money is going. But you're talking about, you know, diapers or formula or other projects, bringing things in. We've now been able to shine a light on this need, and Moroccans are incredibly generous people. You know, we've found that if they know that that need is there, they rise up to fulfill it. And so it's been really incredible to see in each of the cities where we've built a play garden, how the community has come out and taken what we've done and you know, for lack of a better word, it's just bloomed. It's been really amazing to see what people can do with that discrete structure that we can put down. And I think, and you know, you're a donor, you know, I think that that gives American donors and even international donors peace of mind to know that your money is going where you think it's going.
Right. No, and I think that Bloom has done a wonderful job of being transparent. And I know that when I donate, exactly, it's not going to overhead. It's going to build a slide. It's going to build a swing. I know what it's going for because Bloom is such a transparent organization. And I think that's been really important for international donations. I also think that, you know, one of the challenges, just a minute, the elephant was going through the room. I do want to bring the boys in at the end because we were talking about the playground this morning and they wanted to say hi and thank you to all the people who are donating. Unscripted, I didn't ask them to do that, but let's see, what was I going to say? The elephant, my train of thought. You know, the pandemic has also, you know, shown just how great the need is. And that need is going to grow in a lot of different populations. I mean, people who are already vulnerable are going to become more vulnerable, and people who are just on the edge are going to sink into vulnerability. And I know that there are a lot of, you know, good causes that are competing for our attention, especially now during Ramadan. And I hope that people, you know, will be able to set aside, you know, a little bit for these kids whom they don't know. You know, there are needs in our own community, and I certainly am continuing to support, you know, some of the refugees, for example, in Chicago.
Sure.
But it's like now more than ever, we need people to continue to reach across borders in order to care, you know, for these orphans. Moroccans are suffering in ways that most Americans can't imagine. I mean, the tourism industry there has been decimated. It doesn't have a robust economy the way that the United States does. And even though we are going to suffer in many parts and already are, the need is going to be so much greater. And so the expendable income that Moroccans didn't get a big stimulus check, right? I mean, it's going to be harder, I think, for the orphanages to raise money. Ramadan is the one time of the year that people really donate to them and bring in diapers and formula and food and all sorts of things. And they can't do that right now. So the need is even greater this year than it ever has been.
No, absolutely. And I'll say to that, you know, our new playground in Fez, I told you a little bit about it. It's the most need I've ever seen in Morocco. You know, it makes Meknes look like the Four Seasons. When you go to Fez, it's really something. And we were so distraught about the situation they were in. I'll tell you, when we went to Fez, we walked through the kitchen, and you know, it gives me chills thinking about it. There was a big pot of soup on the stove, and kind of looked down, like, oh, you know, that's nice. But that's what the boys have for lunch and dinner: a cup of soup and bread. And we had heard that they stopped making the bread because of COVID-19, and you know, something to do with the touching and the hands. And you know, I think everyone's just trying to do the best they can. And you know, Amna, our executive director, she, you know, like all of us, she was just distraught about it. And one of the things that was hard is this idea of our scope. It's not in our scope to provide them with food for 30 days in Ramadan. You know, they didn't have sheets on their beds. It's not in our scope to fulfill those needs. But what happened was, as we were shining that light on Fez, we have some of our Bloom community. They raised money and sent it over there. And they'll tell you a little bit about their struggles with that, I'm sure, at some point, and how they would rather, you know, going forward, donate to a nonprofit that is doing that work. But beyond that, the Moroccan community in the neighborhoods in Fez really stepped up. I mean, this orphanage that was right there under their noses, you know, this huge famous city that was in this condition when we went, the director sent us a picture of a donation they got for mattresses, brand new mattresses for all the beds. Their needs have been met for food. You know, just people have big hearts, and especially in Ramadan, they find a way to get that done. And so when you donate to Bloom, part of what you're doing is, yes, you're building a playground, but you're also helping to shine a light on a community and give other people the opportunity to come in and help.
I don't even know what to say to that because that was really beautiful.
Yeah. So, you know, I thank you so much, Jackie. I know that you've got the little guys and we'd love to see them. If they have
I'll go. Yeah, Rafi will be the hardest one because he's outside, but let me go get him.
Okay.
I'm going to bribe them with a gummy bear.
Hi. Why are you hiding?
Okay. Okay, come here. You want to say hi? Hi.
Hi, we're just spending a lot of time together.
Yeah. Don't you think that's a good idea to try to get a house?
It'll be so fun. So what do you guys think? Won't it be so fun?
Look at, you know how we're adopting baby brother from Casablanca? Mona is adopting a son from Casablanca too.
He's 9, so he'll be just, I think, the right size to play with you guys. What do you think?
How old are you?
I'm 8 years old.
Yeah,
Wonderful. So you can teach him some American things before we come home, right?
Are
Yeah?
you going to teach him some things?
It's not 4 anymore.
No, you're not 4 anymore.
No.
Did you want to say something?
Mhm.
You want to say something to the Bloom community, the people who make the playgrounds?
Thank you for helping me making the playgrounds.
Do you want to say something? What did you tell me? Say thank you for helping the orphans.
Thank you for helping the orphans.
Thank you, guys. So look forward to seeing you all in Morocco, and we're going to have so much fun together, right? And we're going to bring our babies home.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. All right, Ramadan Mubarak, everybody.
Ramadan Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem. Assalamu alaikum. Bye.